So Matt, we're going to talk about Sterling Metals today.
That's great.
You've got an exciting discovery at Sail Pond in Newfoundland. Can you tell us a little bit about why that sets you apart from some of the other silver explorers?
Yeah, I think what makes it unique is it kind of checks most of the boxes you'd want to see in a new discovery. I mean, it's a maiden drill program. It's the first time this project's ever been tested. So I think what you're always looking for is size, grade, safe jurisdiction, good access. And when some of them are better than others, you kind of look at those things and say, oh, well, you say I don't need the other thing and so much, but I think that we actually have all of them. And so from that perspective, it makes it pretty unique to find a silver asset that also has a polymetallic piece to it in an area 30 minutes from an airport where you can kind of walk all along the project pretty easily. And you get, even from our first drilling, you have world-class grades, and then this 12-kilometer long strike that kind of sets it apart, I think.
Yeah. So I'm not aware of any other silver heavy or silver dominant deposits or discoveries in Newfoundland. I guess in that sense, that kind of makes you unique as well.
Yeah, I think, the guy that wrote our, the PhD geologist who wrote our technical report, he actually has a big theory that he was the Keno Hill theory. He was saying that this is similar to the Keno Hill deposit, that district over in the Yukon. And what he has said is that this is unlike not just anything in Newfoundland, but actually unlike anything in the Canadian Appalachians, anything on the East Coast. So it does lend itself to being kind of a unique geology project in that way. And I think that is probably why there's, some time to figure out what's going on. But yeah, so I think it's not just a Newfoundland thing. I think it's Eastern Canada.
Excellent. I've heard you describe this discovery as there being a lot of smoke. And so there's got to be some fire somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the grades that you've hit, the direction it's taking you, and I guess an overall sense of what we might be looking at?
For sure. So, we all watch the market every day and we see things go up and down. We always want these discoveries to happen so quickly. And sometimes it's hard to remember, and for myself included, that we just found this just happened. And there hasn't been drilling for 30 years from many different companies. And this is our first program. So the smoke was definitely these outcrops that we found along this 12-kilometer long strike. So you have these same kind of outcrops that pop out of the ground or that are in trenching, samples from trenching, and you kind of have the same thing over and over again. You see these grades of 4,500 grams silver and 15% copper, and just really fun stuff to have on your project. And then when we started drilling in June, it took us a little while to find those things. And so, you're kind of holding your breath and saying, okay, well, we know that this trend is here, that the size is there, and that the grades are there because we've seen it in outcrop. But can we find it in drilling? And so where we got really excited is when we sort of figured out that we were doing wasn't right on track. It was sort of just off the beaten path, and then changed our model to understand that there's this argillite shale cap that's trapping mineralization. And in this case, when we released this hole, which was 0.35 meters was the big part of it, and that's not very big. But when you see this massive sulfide core, and you see that this is what you're chasing, and you see 1,500 grams silver and 29% zinc and 2.5% antimony and 6% copper, like big numbers for this little piece of core. But it verifies that what was on surface, the smoke, is actually under the ground, and you can hit it. And so when you see sulfides like this, and you see sulfides push through the country rock, this dolostone that hosts our unit, you know that there's some sort of big system that we are now onto. And now that we have this understanding of the trap, this kind of, that creates this, not pipe, but sort of this like fold over. Now that we have that understanding, we can see that even when we were drilling throughout the project, we were actually off. We didn't even get to where we should be drilling in the north zone, which is 9 kilometers long. And I think that the fire that we're finally hitting in the drill holes, and I think when we put out our press release, we say visually we're starting to see sulfides push through wider quartz veins, and we're starting to see better brecciated zones. And I don't know if we're in the midst of anything. Like, I don't know if we're in the midst of the heart of it yet, but definitely starting to see a little bit more fire versus the smoke that's just on surface.
So there's only been a couple of news releases that brought this to light. I've been following that closely, of course, and what I do remember is that the drilling, I guess what you've seen is that some of the drilling, initially at least, was in areas where, as you mentioned, you weren't quite where you needed to be, but some of the results have indicated where you could probably focus more going forward, and hopefully be more have more similar results, maybe more exciting results. And so, what has sort of modern exploration brought to how you can focus on where you're drilling?
Yeah, so it's been really great to see the different pieces of the geology that's been done for this project line up. And so, you have the soil anomalies, the trenching, the grab samples, and then the IP survey that we're using right now. And the great thing about the IP survey that kind of lines up with the outcrop is that you see these jogs, these kind of twists of the IP survey, and that's actually where the argillite cap is folding over, and that's trapping mineralization. And so that modern piece of exploration, you can see that if you kind of interpret the whole 12-kilometer trend, you see these jogs, these flexures, these traps. And like you said, when we were drilling, we weren't actually there. And so we actually have to go back and drill there again. But what we did in the south here, where we're focusing our drilling, is find that, chase it, and hopefully our news releases that start to come out have more, let's say, wider intervals of mineralization. And I think that we'll start to see kind of how that trap is forming, how the continuity is kind of taking shape. If we're at the top of the system, if this is a pod, how the plunge is shaping up. And I think that there's a lot I think that will come to light when we start to put out results that we're talking about. And I think that it should be pretty interesting to follow.
So I guess over the next weeks and months, we can look forward to some more drill results and follow the story. Hopefully some good continuity in terms of exciting news, in terms of intercepts and so on. And we'll certainly, look forward to that. Thanks for the overview, and we'll keep following the story.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Peter. It was great to be here.
Pleasure.